Thanks a lot. I just always wanted to do things, be in movies and television that I would watch, so starting out with like Drake and Josh was because I was obsessed with all the and it's so cool that it's, 10 years later, like the show still makes an impact. And then the first indie I ever did, funny enough, was with Deborah producing a movie called Mean Creek, which has become a very popular meme of me cursing at kids on a boat. It's actually a good movie. And stuff like that, the whackness in this, it's a chance to work with, collaborators, people that I really respect and want to work with, and the subject matter that I think is exciting, and a character that kind of scares me a little bit because of the challenge, but is someone who I want to get in their skin and hang out with for a couple months.
Cool. All right, well, that's it for tonight. We want to thank our amazing volunteers.
Make a grand entrance.
Well, they said we were supposed to enter from the other side. I was not aware.
I appreciate it. All right, take any seat.
Would it be really weird if, like, we could talk to each
all the
other?
way down
Talk all the way
there.
over here. Hey, what's up?
Yeah, I mean, the people, I could hear you if it
It's
takes
like
the
that scene
microphone,
in the scene in the Michael Keaton Batman.
but yes.
Pass this. What's up, everybody? How's it going?
Yeah. You're only Drake.
Well, I know. I'm like, so we're all here, so let's just get started. Are you a big con guy? Is this, something you love to do? Go to conventions and everything?
Actually, I am. I do love Comic Cons. I love all kinds of cons, just because I'm kind of a nerd in that way. Like my whole house is like all these like toys and comic book stuff and artwork, like all cartoon stuff. I'm all really into cartoons and all that. And so cons are really cool. It's just kind of it's just a bummer because I get here and I want to walk around and look at everything and see everything, and we're stuck at a table. But yeah, I'm really into cons. It's fun.
Yeah, me too. That's why, I love to ask people, especially this is the reason I do this, because I grew up, my dad would take me to these things as a kid. And so, like, my house too is full of, cartoon stuff, comic book stuff, a million pops.
Yeah.
Do you collect those?
I don't collect pops, but I do have tons of, vintage toys and action figures and all this kind of. My house looks like a cartoon. Like if you came in, like I really love this artist named Shag, who does this. It's kind of like if you go to San Diego Comic Con, he's always down there, but he does this like cool 1960s. Mid-century modern style artwork, and looks very reminiscent of like the Flintstones or that kind of era, or Jetsons. And I'm just obsessed with that style, that whole mid-century modern, the 1960s, but what the future would look like in the city, that whole, Tomorrowland vibe. And so when you walk in my house, it's just like everything is like so colorful. It's crazy. It's like you walked into a cartoon as well. I have all that Shag art like everywhere. A big mural of it on the whole wall. It looks like you can like walk into it. It's pretty cool.
Wow, that is cool. I know, I like the minimalist movie posters, because I too like the modern look. Yeah, they're just sleek. I have like Watchmen, Clerks,
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, those are super cool. We actually went to, I'm part of this thing called the Secret Movie Club, and they show really awesome old movies all the time, You should follow them on Instagram if you're into that kind of stuff. We just saw Rosemary's Baby last night.
Oh, sweet.
On 35mm in the theater, like so cool. We just saw, oh wow, that scared me because I thought you really had a bloody nose.
I know, I did earlier, and it was like,
I was
that's
like, oh
so
wait, no,
good.
that's part of the character.
Yeah. It's like, oh no, she's 11, that's big, right?
Yeah.
I thought we were all just gonna die from the plague. It's like, oh, this is how it starts, one bloody nose.
But anyway, no, we saw Hard Day's Night recently in the theater, which is really cool, and then, what was the other really, Sunset Boulevard, like all these really great movies, and they're showing them in the theater, but every time they show them, they do an original movie poster, and they're usually really cool minimalist style, like 1960s, 70s, like right in that era of that type of movie poster. They're always really cool. They're always like exclusive to that that night, you know.
Neat, yeah, and what a great collector's item, it's like a specific movie poster.
Yeah, you guys
too.
should check out Secret Movie Club if you're into like old movies. It's so rad. Like everyone's, they do like all the Kurosawa and Hitchcock. They're showing 3 Twilight Zone episodes
Oh,
in 35
yeah.
millimeter from Rod Serling's like private collection. And they're getting to play it like in the theaters. So it's pretty cool stuff.
I know, I was pretty stoked for that Twilight Zone. That's actually how I heard about Secret Movie Club.
Oh, really?
Because that's one of the greatest shows of all time.
Mhm.
Yeah, are you into, yeah, as you say, you're just a big nerd. What are your fandoms? Not to divide anyone, we love everyone. We all have our favorites.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
as far as like what I'm the biggest fan of, like what I geek out on is Disneyland. So I have like an absolute weird, crazy obsession with Disneyland, and that's what most of my memorabilia. Like if you come into my house, it looks like you're like in Disneyland. You know, like every piece. I don't have any. You know, like somebody like hangs a picture on their wall, and like that's the picture for the wall. You know, like like imagine if each one of those panels is a piece of art. Like that's what my walls look like. You know, it's like this. Like just there's not like one free space of anything on the wall, and it's all Mickey Mouse and Disneyland, but specifically Disneyland. So it's like the Haunted Mansion, or you know, Tomorrowland, or you know, Disney in 1963. And so it's Walt. You know, I have a lot of Walt around my house.
Wow.
But yeah, so when I go anywhere and I'm looking for memorabilia, or when I come to shows like this, I always am seeking out like, oh man, do they have like, you know, like doorknob from the Haunted Mansion in the 60s,
Oh, wow.
or like do they have some cool, you know, like D23 is like my con, you know, like I go there and they have all the cool, like all the stuff from the park from the 50s all the way to the 70s, all this cool stuff from rides and stuff I remember growing up that's not there anymore, and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I geek out on mostly is Disneyland.
So it must have been like kismet that you were a Disney kid. I mean,
Well,
you
I
were
was-
literally
well-
part of the Disney family.
Well, kind of, but it was Nickelodeon.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's what actually, it's funny that you say that because it's actually the opposite. Like everybody comes over to my house and they're like,
Wait.
dude, you're a total traitor. Like what's going on? You know, I have like my Nickelodeon blimps, you know, like up on the wall. But then, like everything in my house is Disney, you know, and everyone comes in and they're like, yo, bro, you're on Nickelodeon. Like, this is like,
Hey, I did. Like.
You're like, you're a traitor, man. But it's very funny that you know you walk in and literally it's like the enemy.
But again, I mean, most people liked both. I mean, and I will say, because the reason I watched Drake and Josh is me and my friends would do that thing, you know, where you sit around in the circle like on 70 Show, and that's when we would watch it. Hence probably why I was like, yeah, Disney, right?
Well, no, I mean everybody. It's
Yeah.
honestly like it's everybody does that. But also it's I mean my life is lived. You know, my professional life is lived on both. You know, I've done so much stuff for Disney, mostly on Nickelodeon, but like you know, Ultimate Spider-Man was all.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so there's been a lot of crossover. It is interesting with how much of both that I've done, because usually it's like, you know, if you were on Disney, you know, like a Miley or a Jonas or anything like that, like you're Disney, you know.
Yeah.
Like you won't even go do a cartoon voice or anything over on like the Enemy Network, you know, but I was just kind of like slipping through. Like, hey, what's
You
the
Ryan
paycheck?
Reynolds knows. Well, that was
Disney's paying this week, I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, money's money, right? I mean, yeah, it's all the same.
It looks better when it comes with a mouse on it. Though.
Yeah. The cute little ears. I mean, does, you know, your check say signed by Walt Disney?
Yeah.
Still, I feel like they're still using that stamp. I mean, you gotta. I mean,
Yeah.
but you know, speaking of Spider-Man, since you brought it up, do you know who has played Spider-Man more times than anyone? Because this includes voice actors.
Who has played Spider-Man more than anyone? I have no idea.
I think it's you. Because I did some calculations on IMDb, and you've technically played Spider-Man in more different things than any other actor.
Oh, like you mean
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Suck it, Tom Holland.
That's pretty rad. Yeah, 'cause you've done like live stage shows and the cartoon and video games and a lot of, and it was the longest running Spider-Man, the longest running action adventure show. I think it went beyond Batman, beyond.
Yeah. Great show too.
But yeah, I mean, it's one of the greatest. I just ran into Paul Dini the other night. We were going to see Joker.
Yeah.
And I'm like standing there, and we're in line for the concession stand, and this guy's like standing, kind of like going in front of the line to just like see the menu and everything. And then he like turns around to walk back to his group, and I'm like, I'm seeing the Joker, and that's Paul Dini. And we worked on Spider-Man together. So, and his wife, Misty Lee, is on, has done tons of stuff, but she was on Spider-Man as well. And I think she played Aunt May. And so it was just so cool. I'm like in line seeing Joker. I turn around, there's Paul, his wife, so I was able to go up and go, hey, what's up? What's going on? Good to see you guys. But I was like, this is so cool that we're seeing Joker with some Joker royalty.
Who here? Paul Dini's Batman is your Batman, right?
Yeah,
Batman the
yeah,
animated series. Come on, and Mark Hamill's your Joker, but
Harley Quinn.
yeah.
Being responsible for so much, it was really cool. I was just like, and it was interesting too because when I don't know if the story is interesting to anybody, but I'm just telling you. We were looking for movie theaters to go to, and everything was sold out. Like literally everywhere we wanted to go was sold out. Even like this little theater over here, it was just like, what the heck? Like there's no seats anywhere. And so we had to go out of like our city limit, like go kind of far, to go see the movie. And so it was just kind of serendipitous that like Paul and them were there. I was like, in all the movie theaters in all the towns. Yeah, it was interesting. I was like, wow, like we're not at the ArcLight in Hollywood. We're not at we're not at Universal City Walk or somewhere that everyone's gonna go. It was just some random theater, and it was like, oh, Joker Royal, cool.
Yeah, so, we talked about, Joker royalty, but what do you think of the new Joker?
I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, Joaquin
I loved
was...
it. What did you guys think?
Yeah!
Raise your hand if you liked the movie. Raise your hand if you didn't like the movie. Raise your hand if you didn't see the movie. Alright, you guys gotta see it. It's great. It's really good. It's really good. But it's like, go into it knowing that it's more of an arts movie. It's more of like an art film. It's not, you're not seeing The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
You're seeing Taxi Driver or King of Comedy. Yeah, it's very King of Comedy. They even, it's even like, that wears it on its sleeve. Like you can see like, oh, okay. But it's very, more like you're seeing a Martin Scorsese movie from the 1970s than a Nolan film or something with like a ton of, the action in it's pretty gnarly, but there's not, you're not seeing a big semi-truck fly over while Batman's going through with this big, tank truck, and everything. But it's a really good movie. And it's long too, and there's, there was no point in the movie where I was like, how much longer? Like, I was just like this the whole time. And when I saw, what did I see recently? There was something I saw recently. It was so, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
That was so long, and I was like, how much longer do I have to watch Margot Robbie watch herself in a movie? Like, that's what I'm doing. I didn't come here to watch someone do what I'm doing for a half hour. But in that movie, I kind of felt like, oh man, when is this gonna? Like, how much longer is it? But Joker, I never looked at the clock until we walked out. I was like, whoa, you've been here for a while.
Yeah, it's very subtle and visceral, but yeah, like you say, it flies by because every scene has stuff, even though it's not this crazy action. It's just, and too, as a stand-up myself, I'm like, way too real, man.
Yeah.
It'll make you, it's like Hereditary was, if you saw that. It'll make you uncomfortable.
Yeah. That was great.
Yeah. I know, I'm like,
How long did that take you to do the
yeah.
Yeah.
You're
What
like,
time did you wake up
let's
this
lose the
morning?
cosplay.
What time did you wake up this morning?
Today I woke up at 6, but yesterday 4.
So did you had some residual on from yesterday,
Oh,
so you
yeah.
didn't have to see, so you just had to like do touch-ups today? Yeah, smart.
Yeah, definitely don't shower when you paint yourself. You gotta go for like a few
No, that's like when
Yeah.
you're working on a set doing something like that. You get home and you're like, okay, I've been in this all day. I could shower, Or I can sleep for an extra hour and a half. So that when I get into hair and makeup, they're just like, oh, okay, cool. We just have to kind of airbrush you and color you in a little bit. Instead of sitting there for another 4 hours.
Is that why, I mean, voiceover work is definitely better, right? You don't have to do any of that.
Of
You
course
just
it
show
is.
up.
Voiceover work's the easiest. We're doing it right now. Like, this is the easiest job in the world. If you can crack the code, that's why the voiceover world is so small. Like, there's 10 people that do everything because they're not letting anyone in. It's you know, you thought Club 33 was hard to get into? Like, this is the secret club. You know, it's like, you get to go, you do 4-hour blocks, you show up and, you know, it's like, okay, what am I doing today? Where's my coffee? Like you just in your pajamas,
That's the best part, not having to wear makeup.
yeah,
not
no
having to dress
makeup, no
up.
hair, you get in there, you're like, okay, what do I need to do? I need to read this, okay, cool. How do I read it? Spider-Man? Okay, the road goes ever on. Middle-earth and Lord of the Rings, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. This has been your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Okay, moving on. Right. No take two? No, we got it. Okay, moving on. All right. But like, it's just so easy, you know, and it's so much fun too because you get to be in the room with all of these actors that you grew up on. You know, a lot of voiceover, unfortunately, is done like by yourself in a room and you're just by yourself. But
That's a downside.
yeah, you know, that's, yeah, I mean, it just makes it not as fun. I mean, it's still
Yeah.
fun, but when you're in the room with like Mark Hamill and Tom
Yeah.
Kinney and Maurice LaMarche and all of these
The
guys,
legends?
yeah, that you just grew. It's like every time I look up, it's like, you know, Mount Rushmore of my childhood. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, you were everything. You were Animaniacs. You were Pinky and the Brain. You were the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You were. And it's just like goes on and on and on. And you're SpongeBob, and you're the, you know, it's just crazy. And you're Mark Hamill.
Yeah. And Mark Hamill's like, what didn't he do?
Yeah, you know, and to see actors also like that in situations that you never are going to see them in, right? So you see Mark Hamill, for example, whenever you see him on screen or in an interview, he's Mark Hamill, or he's Luke Skywalker, or he's this guy. But when you see him in a room where he's doing this thing, and he's like this, and he's trying to get these voices, because you have to contort your face and your body and everything if you're trying to get certain sounds and faces and stuff, and you're looking over at Mark and you're like, whoa, dude, this is so rad. Like, this is like an element of your acting that, like, only a select few people are ever going to really get to see, because there's no cameras in our faces, and that's what frees us up and gives us the liberty to be like, oh, I need to throw somebody across the room, okay, like, you know, I'm not going to, like, care what I look like or sound like, or I'm getting beat up, you know, doing all these sounds and stuff, and it's like, you don't care, because everyone is just working, doing what you're doing. There's nobody that's, you know, taking cell phone videos or you know, making sure that you're in the frame or whatever. And you get to see all these amazing actors do things that nobody else gets to see. You know, it's pretty cool.
I know, I feel like they should do like a behind the voiceover, like behind the music was, so people can start to see that, because, I mean, some of these should be shared with the world.
There was this really cool documentary that came out not too long ago. It was like Behind the Voice or something. I can't remember what it was, but it's on YouTube. You can find it if you just look up like a couple of these actors I just mentioned. But it's really cool, and it kind of goes into that a little bit. It's more like interviews with the people, but I wish, yeah, they should, like, I mean, I'm sure there is if you like look up like so-and-so in the vocal booth, like, you know. But yeah, it's really cool, like when you get to peek behind the curtain and see like the Family Guy cast like doing their voices,
Oh, yeah.
or doing, you know. The one of the cool ones is watching that South Park did a whole, you know, this is what it's like in 24 hours before we actually go to air, because they work up until literally they
Oh,
send
yeah.
it to air.
That's why it's always so fresh on the
So
topics.
relevant, yeah. And so to watching that, you're just like, man, these people are on another level of artistry.
Yeah, Matt and Trey are kind of like the gods, and then you got Seth MacFarlane and all that. I mean, but yeah, do you ever rub it in Josh Peck's face that you broke into the voiceover club?
Well, no, I mean, Josh has done great too. I mean, he did the Ice Age movie,
Oh,
and
yeah.
he's done quite a bit of voiceover too. I think, I think he did some stuff on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
And yeah, so no, he
You guys
and
are
he
both
did some
in.
stuff on Spider-Man too. I forgot. He came in and did an episode of Spider-Man. I forget who he played, but I'm sure it's on his IMDb. But yeah, so no, we luckily have been able to kind of weasel our way in. It's funny he played a weasel in
Yeah.
I think it was something like a Weasley type character. It's fitting, but he.
Oh yeah, it's shame. I like that. It's fitting.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. But no,
I know,
he,
but that's
but yeah, so no, he did those. I think it's like 3 of the Ice Age movies and stuff. So he's done quite a bit of voiceover himself.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You guys still keep in touch, don't you? I mean, now.
Yeah. I mean, he just had a baby and he's got married and he's all like being an adult now. It's weird. But yeah, everybody on the cast with Drake and Josh keeps in touch because we were like a family. It was just I still talk to Jonathan and Nancy and when I see her on TV or she's in a bunch of commercials
Oh,
right
yeah.
now, and I watch Jeopardy every day, and her commercials are on during Jeopardy all the time. And
Did you
I'm
see
like,
Ken Jennings on Friday? He was here.
Oh, was he
Yeah.
here?
I was
Oh,
like a
no
perfect
way.
Jeopardy fan.
Oh man, I gotta read these programs. Ken Jennings was here?
Yeah. Totally. Well, now I'm
Was he
depressed.
just here one day?
I think so. I think he was just here on Friday. He did a panel on the main stage. It was pretty cool. I've ruined his day.
Well, just don't tell me like James Holzhauser's gonna be here, because then I'm not going. Then I'll cry.
Don't tell him. But yeah, before we get to
Was anybody at the Ken Jennings panel?
Yeah.
What? Dude, was it cool?
Yeah, it was cool. They have a new game called Half-Truths.
That's really cool.
Huh?
He's creating with a creator.
Oh, so he has like an actual new game? Oh, wow. What's it called?
Half-Truths.
Oh,
Half-Truths. Jeopardy is my favorite show of all time.
The booth that the sponsor is at the game by Macy's.
Oh, rad. Oh, cool. So it's still there. I'll go check it out. Awesome. Half-Truths. It's really cool.
Well, I was planning on giving you guys the mic here in a minute anyway to go to fan questions. But we'll ask one last thing of Drake. What's next? What do you got coming up?
I'm working on music really a lot right now. I'm putting out a bunch of records and touring all over the world, and just I don't know, putting out music videos and records and things. Go and check it all out on YouTube and Spotify and stuff.
All right.
Wherever music's sold. It's a cool jacket.
All right, so my audience volunteer. Who wanted to volunteer to hold the mic? All right, orange shirt. I saw your hand go up first, actually. I'll get it for you. There we go. All right, everybody can just make a single file line
Oh,
if you
okay, I
want
was
to
gonna
ask
say,
a
that's
question down the aisle there. I'm trying to yell so everybody can hear me.
Hey Drake,
Hey.
I wanted to ask, what do you know about this rumored unreleased episode of Drake and Josh where we meet Drake's dad and Josh's mom?
Oh. That'd be cool, huh? That doesn't exist.
I think that's some fan fiction.
No, it's fan. Yeah, that's a fan fiction. But no, I don't think we ever addressed who or what my mom or. Here's some. Do you know what my mom did for a living on Drake and Josh?
Nope, never mentioned, or even her name.
Yeah, her name was mentioned
Yeah.
on a what?
Audrey.
Audrey. Yeah, it was written on a piece of paper, like that. When we were like arrested. I don't know, one of the episodes where we were like arrested, or we were something where they had to look at a piece of paper and it looked at it and it was the only place that said like Audrey Nichols, because it's the only time we mentioned my mom's name. But she was a caterer. I thought that she was a veterinarian for some reason. I don't know why. I put that in my brain. And somebody was doing Drake and Josh trivia, and they're like, "Do you know what your mom did for a living?" I'm like, "Yeah, she was a veterinarian." And they were like, "No?" And I'm like, yeah, she was, watch. And I'm like, I'll text the creator right now. What did my mom on Drake and Josh do for a living? Caterer. What are you talking, when, how, what? I'm like, no, dude, she was a vet. She was a veterinarian. And he was like, no, like, that was never the case. Like, she's never been a veterinarian. Like, who told, where did that come from, you know? Yeah, no problem.
All right. Oh, what's my question again? Oh. Heart Like War. How do you know them?
Who?
Heart Like War.
Heart Like War.
The band. Heart Like War.
I don't know. You saw me with, maybe I don't know, maybe I played a show, I might have played a concert with them maybe, or, I don't know.
Is it alright? I could say one of your friend name.
I'm sorry?
Is it alright to say one of your friend name? I know his friend, your friend name from that group.
Sure.
You know David?
I don't know. I don't know his name.
David C. I know his last name.
I don't. I'd have to see a picture. I don't know. Where are they from?
Here. Eleanor. If I could.
He's like, I got one.
He's gonna pull a picture.
Yeah. All right, well, he's with you. There we go. Oh, man, that was quick. I was like,
How about this one? It's Paige.
I think we're gonna go on to the next question here, if we can get the mic, and while you look for your picture.
Do you have a picture of the band? Like, of their actual faces?
Of what they look like?
Like... Did they say they know me?
Yeah, one of them.
Oh.
All right.
A long time.
Yeah, why don't you hang right here and
We'll
go to
go.
the next question.
So as was pointed out earlier, you've done like a lot of Spider-Man media stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, have you ever seen one like a video game or a particular show and you're like, oh man, I wish I had been able to voice Spider-Man in that thing? Like, have you thought, oh, I can't believe I didn't get a shot for that? I'm really curious, is there a favorite?
Isn't there a Spider-Man in Lego Batman? Is there a Lego Spider-Man?
Yeah.
I think the Lego Spider-Man.
That's really
That would have been dope. That would have been really cool.
Thank you.
All right, we found it. That was quick. The suspense is killing us.
You know what? I had to have played a concert with them and just forgot. But I'm sure maybe on like a concert or I'm sure we played a festival or something together. I just can't recall.
All right.
So, my cousin, right here, she was too scared to ask, but she wants to know, what's your favorite color?
My favorite color? Blue.
You made a good choice with your hair then.
So did you have a favorite episode or most fun episode that you enjoyed filming, or for Drake and Josh specifically?
Shooting Drake and Josh Go Hollywood was fun because we finally got to get out of the studio, and off the sound stage, and got to go shoot around town, and that was a lot of fun. And I think just any time where me and Josh had, it was just scenes where me and Josh, when we get upset at each other, it's like, hey, call me a liar, I'm calling you a truther, and it's just us in a scene, or when the car breaks down when we're trying to get the cake to our aunt's house, and it's just the two of us on the side of the road for most of the episode, and there's not many other ancillary characters kind of coming in and out. It's really fun. It just gave us that kind of free reign to just be us,
Do you guys fight much in real life, like in the show?
All the time. All the time. No, I mean, honestly, we were growing up together, so we were like real brothers, you know. Sometimes we got along, sometimes we didn't. But in the end, you know, most of the time we were working together, so it was like, yeah, I mean, we got along 90% of the time, you know. It was just like, honestly, we're working hard, we get exhausted, and we're the ones that are in front of each other. So it's like, oh, I'm gonna take it out on you because you're there, and I'm tired, you know. But no, for the most part, you know, we got along really, really well, and that allowed us to, you know, be able to be funny together. You know?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Love your cosplay, by the way. Yeah. All
I
right.
don't think I can hold that. I'm shaking too much.
I can hear you.
Well, I first wanted to say I actually met you at Disneyland a few years ago. You were really nice to me.
Oh, rad.
You took my phone because I was at the back of a big crowd. Everyone passed my phone up so you could like take a selfie with it.
Oh, rad.
And that was really great. And then, so I was actually binge watching Drake and Josh on Hulu recently because, you know, I like saw it was there and I'm like, why wouldn't I binge watch it? And I got to one of my favorite episodes where Mindy puts the car in the classroom and blames you. But there was one thing I never like actually truly understood. Why did Mrs. Hafer hate you before that? Because she hated you before that.
See, that's,
she just hated you.
yeah, I think that was just, we needed a,
Because you dated her daughter.
I think so. Because I dated her daughter.
There were so, one
Because
of my
wasn't there an episode where like I went and I knocked on the door like looking for the daughter?
Yeah, and she
Chelsea
came to
Brutman
the-
played the daughter from all that.
But there's so many episodes where like it's just you and Mrs. Hafer, and it's just her just repeatedly telling, "I hate you, Drake."
I think what it was,
That's pretty
I mean,
much.
from the outside, like from the creative point of view of where it came from, was I think that we needed an anti-Helen.
Because she loved you and hated
Because
Josh.
Helen loves me and hates Josh, and Mrs. Hafer, you know, loves Josh because he's such a good student, but just can't stand Drake. So I think that when a few episodes of Helen went by, they were like, oh, we need like an anti-Helen. We need someone who like hates Drake, you know, because everybody loves Drake. You know? So we got to get someone that just like despises him. And she was one of my favorites. Like I loved just like, you know, those stupid like, you know, still hate you. You know, it's like I know.
I
You know,
also
these
love
little, like,
all the doodles that you were supposedly drawing of her. Like I have all of them. Like,
oh
like,
really?
I
Like
just
when
keep
she's
them as
falling. This is her falling.
Yeah, like
And what's
when
at the bottom of these? Hungry alligators.
I just like that's the one I've been repeating.
Oh, that's
like, just
awesome. Is
repeatedly
the
watching.
one when I put it in the car in the classroom? Is
Oh yeah,
the,
Mindy stole like your jacket and put it in the trunk of the car frame.
right, and that's the same one. That's when we go to court, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that same episode. Yeah, that's a great one.
I'm like, I love all this reminiscing about episodes, and I'm like, yeah, right, watching that.
It's a good show.
No.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
What's like the one catchphrase anyone comes up to you and says?
Oh,
From any of them?
the one?
No, the one, like the one that always.
Man, I mean, there's a billion of them. I mean, you've got, whoa, just take it easy, man. Ugly brother! Megan! You calling me a liar? I ain't calling you a truther. Spherical!
Por favor.
Oh yeah.
Por favor.
Por favor. Oh, pip pip doo doo.
I think that was my favorite.
Oh man, what else? Oh, are you ready to play the pong? Man, it's you have broken the glass of what is it, the window of transparency, or the glass of transparency, or whatever. It's just Ine Kudu saying what do I say when the girls you're the one that said Ine Kudu say unta ya while the sun was in the house of Carflog.
Sorry about the block, Mom.
Yeah, sorry about the clock, Ma. Go with the balls.
Like, did we cover them all?
It's-
Anybody have any more?
It's endless. Like there's so many. You know. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. But I mean, honestly, the one that I get the most is can you say, whoa, just take it easy, man? I'm like, okay. Didn't even know that wasn't even written as a joke. Like, it was just like, hey, repeat what you just said. I'm like, okay, whoa, just take it easy, man. Whoa, just take it, okay. And then everyone's just like, and then you go to all over the world and it translates for some reason. So I'll go to Mexico and they'll be like, oh, can you say, yo, ¿qué dije? Oye, tranquilo, viejo. And I'm like, I never even said that. That was like somebody in a booth translating it into your language. That was not my voice. But okay, oye, tranquilo, viejo. It's just so, abrázalo, hermano. It's like so funny that it just translates into all. I'm like in another country and they're just like asking, it's pretty funny. Right.
Hello.
Hey.
I had a question. When you played in that movie, superhero movie,
yeah.
Was there any difference between the guy? I think his name was Dragonfly.
Yeah.
Was there any difference between him and Spider-Man? Like, was there any differences?
Well, he was way dumber.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was actually. It's really interesting. Like, there's a lot of parallels. That are kind of interesting. Like, Drake Parker plays Peter Parker, and was also Rick Riker, the spoof of Peter Parker. Like, it's really weird how many kind of different incarnations I've played of this, like, superhero character. But yeah, I think, I mean, there were elements of Spider-Man I obviously drew, but it was way before I played Spider-Man, and I don't think I was thinking, I mean, it was obviously a spoof on Spider-Man, but I didn't play, I think if you hear whenever I'm Dragonfly, I'm more like, I'm not wearing any diamonds. I'm like, I think I'm more channeling like some kid who thinks he's like sounding big, bad, and tough, like, what would Batman sound like? So, hey, here's what I sound like, and Spider-Man's just like, hey, come on, Buckethead, like, well, Nova Creep, that's a cool name, hey, Nova Creep, so they're kind of two different characters. Yeah. Spider-Man's just like a 15-year-old that, oh, whoa, what happened? And then I think Dragonfly is trying to put on like this is what a superhero is supposed to sound like.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
So, because like we're in a Comic-Con, my question is like, if you had the chance to portray a superhero in an action film, who would you portray as?
Invincible. You see it, don't you?
Yeah.
Come on. I would love to. Are they making a movie or just an animated series?
I thought they were going to.
I heard Seth Rogen.
Yeah,
is
and they're
making
going to film.
Yeah. So I would, get on those blogs. Drake Bell is invincible. I'm telling you, I've read every single comic. I have them all at home. I've been front, back, cover, everything. I've got the toys. I've got the action figures at home. I know my jam. I'll do the fanboy as well.
Yeah, guys, hashtag Drake Bell for Invincible. Hashtag Drake Bell for Invincible. Get it trending on Twitter.
Yeah, and I've been hitting the gym, so I'm already ready. Preparing, I'm already prepared.
I'm Andy, nice to meet you.
Hey, how's it going?
First and foremost, thank you for Drake and Josh.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of good times. I even have a Ready, Steady, Go on my iPhone,
oh,
too, by the way, so thank you for that, too.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's that. I guess I have a question, it's kind of dated, hopefully everyone knows this one. So when you were hanging out with the David Dobrik dudes, to go to David Dobrik and sing to him, oh, wow, that's Drake Bell, Drake and Josh. I just wanted to know, how are the David Dobrik dudes off camera? How were they? Were they as gnarly as on film, or is that a dumb question to ask?
No. No.
You can give us a G-rated version, that's fine.
No, I mean, they're cool guys.
They're cool.
Yeah, they're super dope. They're like, I don't think they're like as wild and crazy as they are on camera. Like, when the camera starts rolling, it definitely kind of like, but I mean, that's with anything. You're gonna get, you're gonna be, oh, the camera's on, all right, you're gonna be more, full, more on and everything regardless. But no, I mean, they're definitely, they're definitely a different breed, man. You know, they're definitely a wild and crazy bunch, for sure. But yeah, I haven't spent much time with them, you know, like.
I know it's a dated one.
Yeah, but they're funny guys, you know. They're all. It's, I don't know. It's like such a. They're all so different too. You know what I mean? Like they all have like their own kind of, you know, oddities and craziness. So. But yeah, there's definitely stuff that's played out for the cameras. You know, I mean, I don't know if they'd be able to be like that 24/7.
Yeah.
But no, they're a fun group of guys. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name's David, and I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so like all these other questions were good, but like this question is really, this one's like really important. Like it's like I can continue so long. How was it? Like, how do you feel knowing that you took part in the national anthem? How does it feel to know you were part of our national anthem?
The iCarly theme song is your national anthem. I feel honored. I feel quite honored. What is the nation of what?
Earth.
Earth? Earth. All right. As long as you have a message of unity, that's great. You know, I'm with you, full force there. So the nation of Earth with the national anthem of iCarly theme song. Isn't that a future we need?
Yeah.
That is the future and the world that we need to live in. And so I like that you're the catalyst of that.
And then my second question is, if you could take a selfie with me.
Sure, come on.
Hey, no freebies. Kidding.
And we'll go on to the next question. We'll get you screwed up there for a selfie.
Wait, let me take that again because I look like awful in
You're like, nope, filter.
All right, there we go. That's better.
Thank you.
It's all right.
And then we'll get to you guys too, and that'll be it.
Yeah.
Hi, Greg.
Hey, how's it going?
So I'm going to college to study to be an actress, and I was wondering what advice could you give aspiring actors and actresses today?
Auditioning is really hard. Auditioning is really annoying. Auditioning is going to break your spirits and make you feel like nobody likes you and because they didn't pick you for the role, and you're going to have to go to 100 auditions before you get picked for one. And so I would say that the hardest thing is probably just the process of being able to go, I just wasn't right for that role. It wasn't nothing that it wasn't me, it wasn't my acting ability, it just wasn't right for that role, So when you go into an audition and you have, I think this is the hardest thing for an actor. Because when you get on set, it's like, oh, hey man, people like me, they picked me, and now I just have to do what I do, that's a lot easier, but the whole process of actually, oh man, I spent a week working on this performance, and I went into this audition, and they didn't even let me get all the way through it before they said, thank you, goodbye, thank you for your time. And you're like, wait, but we still have 2 other scenes to read. And they're like, no, it's good. I worked so hard on this. And if you just go in knowing that when you're in the audition room, like that's your time, that's what you do. You're an actor. You're not the producer, you're not the director, you're not the camera, the DP, you're not this. So all you can do is do your job and go in there and act. And once you leave, you're done. If you can approach auditions that way and just go, okay, cool, when I leave this audition room, I'm done with that audition, and I'm gonna go move on to do whatever else I have to do. I'm gonna go see my friends for the rest of the day, or go work on that next audition I have, and completely forget about what you just left in the room, because once you're gone, everything's out of your control. Like, you can't change. There might be someone in the room that loves you, but they don't have as much power as this other person who's like, that girl I saw yesterday, I'm more into. So, and then you don't get the job, and you're like, everyone in the room hated me, and I didn't do a good job, and there's so many elements that could be like, oh, well, we just cast the brother, and they just don't look enough alike, but when that next role comes, I'm definitely calling her in, because she gave a great audition. But you don't think they're saying that. You think they're saying, oh, she wasn't good enough, and then you take that into your next audition, and you don't realize that there's so many elements that have to come together to pick someone for a role that are so completely out of your control that it'll just drive you mad if you sit there and go,
oh, I could have done this, or it's because I said the line this way is why I didn't get the role, or it's because I wore this shirt, or it's because of it. It's like, no, man, just you go in, do what you do, leave, and move on to the next thing. And then when they call you up and they say, hey, we want you to come back, we want you to for a call back, then revisit it and go, okay, cool, so let me do what and go in and do what you did before, because that's what they liked. You know, don't overthink it. Don't think, oh, now I've got to do something different, or I've got to act a different way, or look a different way. Like, just, they called you back, go in, do what you did before, and, you know, just don't let the audition process and the, you know, a lot of people always go, man, how do these people go onto American Idol and The Voice? And they must have so much guts and such a thick skin, because they're going in front of these 3 judges and they're getting told no. And I'm like, yeah, but they do it once. Like, they go up there once and then they get told no and then they move on. Like, this is an actor's job every day, multiple times a day, is to walk in front of a group of people you have no idea who they are, or you know exactly who they are and what they've done and what they've produced and who they've casted and what stars they've made, and you have to stand there in front of them and do what you think they want to see, and then look at you and go, okay, thank you, goodbye. And then you have to go to another audition at 3 o'clock after your noon audition and do that again. And then you have to go to your 6 o'clock audition and do that again. And you have to do that 5 days a week, 100 times a week, you know, 100 times a month. And so if people have a thick skin going onto American Idol and audition in front of Simon Cowell one time, think of the thick skin that you have to have as an actor doing this 100 times a week, getting told no. Just for that one chance that someone's gonna go, you know what, yes. And then all of those hundreds of auditions that you beat yourself up over, that you cried over, that you called your mom over, that you would talk to your friends over, literally just go and just fall away, because now you're on set doing exactly what you worked your butt off to do, you know? And so if you could just get past that audition process and past the rejection aspect and the feeling rejected, then you're gonna like soar through this industry, because everybody else around you is going to be dealing and working with that in their brain, you know? And if you overcome that, you're like light years beyond anybody that's surrounding you, that's doing what you're doing. You know?
Thank you so much.
Yeah, sorry, that was really long-winded. I'll get through all of you guys, it's all good.
Would you rather do one last season of Drake and Josh or Spider-Man?
Oh, man.
That's like Sophie's choice, man.
You know what? I think it would be the best thing if we just did like, I think it'd be cool if we just came back like exactly where we left off. You know, like, I don't know what the last episode is. I think I got like my song in the Super Bowl or something like that. And Josh became was my manager and all that stuff. Yeah. Like, I think it would be really cool if everybody came back to the same sets, to the same room, to the same everything, and we literally just picked up the show exactly where we left off, and we don't mention why we look 15 years older. Josh might have a little stubble, might be a little gray in his beard, you know, but like I put my hair back and like wear the same clothes, and like, but we picked the show up exactly where we left off, and we're like heading to the Super Bowl because I'm gonna play, you know, or let's play some concert or something like that, where Josh and I are, you know, seniors in high school or junior, wherever we left off. And Megan and Miranda comes back, and she's like, why do we have this 25-year-old woman living in our house as our little sister? And we live in our house, and we live with our parents, and like Jonathan and Nancy are just older, but we just never mention it, and we never reference anything. It's literally just like you're watching the continuation of the show, but we're 15 years older, you know?
So does that mean you bring back Jake and Josh?
That's right. That's the answer to that. I would do that.
Awesome. So, you've probably been asked this before, but what do you think about the Drake and Josh house being torn down? Do you think it was fair? Like, did they at least notify you guys to see if you guys want to keep it or anything?
No, it was, well, the thing is, it's just some private residence, you know. It was actually a house that was around the corner from the creator of the show. And they were just friends of his, and they were like, yeah, sure, you can use our house. So we actually only shot at the real house for like in the intros and outros of going into the bedroom window and coming out, and then we were only physically there shooting for the Drake and Josh, Merry Christmas Drake and Josh, when we did the whole snowing outside, and a lot of the stuff for that movie was actually shot at the house. But the majority, it's kind of like the Brady Bunch house, you know, it's like that, it didn't look like that on the inside, you know, like if you go to the house, it looks like the house on the outside, but the second you walk in the house, you're like, where, this is not the Drake and Josh house, like there's no cool bedroom upstairs and stuff like that. So, I mean, it would have been cool to become something like the Brady Bunch house, because man, it's famous on social media, man. When the thing got torn down and when it was up for sale, and people were always going by it and knocking on the doors, and people were always, you know, bugging the residents of the house, you know, taking pictures in front of it and stuff. But yeah, it is kind of a bummer that, you know, that you can go by sort of these iconic. Nick on Sunset too, I mean, is gone now. I mean, Nick on Sunset for me is more emotional of like, because that was my home, you know, that's where we shot Drake and Josh. Everything that you saw on Drake and Josh was shot at Nick on Sunset. Even if we're outside, like when we're shooting, like we're supposed to be stuck on the side of the freeway or something, you know, in that episode, that was just in the parking lot of Nick on Sunset, you know. If we were ever, you know, whenever we're learning how to, you know, try to drive that car and we can't drive it and stick, all that, like that's all just right at Nick on Sunset. So that being torn down and turned into whatever apartments or whatever they're doing to it now, that's kind of like, oh man, like, it's my childhood, like, it's gone. Like, I'm gonna have to tell my kid, like, to show pictures and like look online or something. But for the house, it's not as sentimental because we only shot there like 2 or 3 times. But it would be cool if it was still standing.
Hello.
Hey.
I have a very stupid question for you, but it's important.
Okay.
Have you ever considered naming your kid Taco? So his name is Taco.
It's actually, it's been in a very serious discussion. It's oh, just wait. Until I post a little nugget in a little taco costume. It's gonna break the internet.
Thank you.
Everyone wants a selfie.
Oh, my brother's FaceTiming me after I sent you a video of him.
Oh, well, ignore.
Ignore it. Why did you accept it?
Hey, I'm busy. I gotta take a selfie.
Bye, Jesse.
All right, later, brother. And he's smoking a J. Okay. All right.
And I've been clean this whole time. I even paid.
All right. Get in here, you criminals. Yeah, no problem.
Damn kid.
I know, that was good. I'm like, I'll let him pick.
There you go.
Like,
Can we get a picture? Guys, we gotta clear out.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good job. Good set, by the way.
Thanks.
Music. No.
Yeah.
That wasn't too bad.
Or are these all?
Please subscribe to my channel if you want to rewatch this. It's Recording Time Media or Stephen Alvarez. Or just put his name, LA Comic Con.
Hey everybody, thank you guys so much for coming by, but unfortunately we have to have everyone exit the room so we can prepare for the next session. So thank you guys so much.
You'll be on the floor, right?
Yo, subscribe to my channel.
Okay, and then I gotta run.
I just want to thank you so much for.
Yeah, of course.
I was like, Tony's got a mic, he can yell out.
There you go. Thanks, guys.
And I was like, you'll be a big one.
Last one, guys. They're gonna
You subscribe to my channel.
Yeah, okay, good. I was like, which day?
Everyone, he's headed to table 19.